Hi and welcome to Total Fishing, a brand new fishing series that will put others firmly in the shade. Yes folks, if you thought that fishing was synonymous with racing whippets and keeping ferrets, then you better hold on to your hats because this one's a little bit different. It's action from start to finish. It's total fishing. Now we're going to kick the show off by going fishing with the ageing rock star of the sport, Mr. Jan Porter. We've got some tench fishing down Oxford way and we'll be going back to Oxford later in the programme to go and catch some chub. We've got the future of fishing, tomorrow's technology today in high tech. We've got fishing tips aplenty peppered right throughout the programme, and we've also assembled angling's most unprofessional panel who will consider the riveting subject of how to make or not to make good flask tea. I can hardly wait, and I'm sure you can't either. But to finish the show off in spectacular style, we're going to Florida, and when we're down in Florida, we're going to fish one of the most spectacular game fish in the world, the mighty tarpon. Well, here's a guy who didn't quite make it into the rock band Def Leppard. Yes, it's Norwegian ex-match fishing ace Jan Porter, a good mate of mine, a man who's caught more fish than you could wave a stick at, but the one thing he's never caught in his life is a big carp. Join me as I join Jan down on the banks of a gravel pit in Bedfordshire. Hold it. Just clamp on it. Jesus! Hold it hard, mate. Go for the loop.
Never seen a performance like that in your life.
Oh, crank down on it.
The reel's all to bits.
Doesn't matter.
I didn't have no reel, mate.
He couldn't have played the fish better. He clamped down on it hard, he bullied it from the swim, and he allowed me to scoop it triumphantly into the net. Looking back on that day, I don't think I'll ever forget it. A fabulous day with a terrific angler, catching an Elstow carp on, of all things, sweet corn. Surely it couldn't possibly be that these fish that were so used to bolt rigs and boilies and sophisticated particles could fall for one of the oldest baits in the game. But they did, and the reason that they had was because we'd approached them quietly, we'd used sensible tactics, and we'd gone to the carp, not waited for the carp to come to us. Jan Porter, matchman, had turned specimen hunter at last, in truly spectacular style. Well done, mate. Right, now with the net, it's £33.5, okay? So we've got to take the weight of the net off. The net weighs £1, 7 ounces. That's 32.5. It's £31.14, mate.
He said he catch me at 20 and I don't think he's 30. Oh, that's incredible. They're just so big. You only see them like that in the water, don't you?
Put it there, boy.
Cheers, thanks, Matt. Excellent.
Let's get a picture.
Fabulous. Make this carp a star.
Lift it just slightly.
Let him go. Well, I might as well swim off with him, really. There goes some big foots.
Strong.
As a matchman, I've learned a tremendous amount, and with the help of Matt, who's been invaluable really on putting me on fish, I've managed to catch fish beyond my wildest dreams. To catch a £20 carp would have been enough, but to catch a £30 plus carp is absolutely, well, it's amazing.
Now this part of the programme's called High Tech, and in it we'll be looking at advanced items of fishing tackle. Fishing tackle can qualify on two counts. Either A, it's horrendously expensive, or B, it's technologically advanced. And in this case, this freestone rod and fly reel qualifies on both counts. You won't get much change out of £1,000 if you buy this setup, and let's look at the reasons why, but I'll leave it to you to decide as to whether you think it's worth the money. Now the freestone rod is constructed from high modulus carbon fibre. There's nothing unusual in that, but when I tell you that this rod is built using a totally new construction process, you'll begin to appreciate what I mean. Most carbon rods, despite their lightness, have a bias or a flat spot, but the new process used to build this rod means that it's totally dynamic. No bias, no flat spots, which means that this rod casts like a dream and it feels as sweet as a nut when you play a fish. It weighs in at well under 100 grams, it's got titanium lined rings. Altogether, it's a work of art, and so too is this reel. It's machined from solid aluminium bar stock, believe it or not, and it really is a work of art. But at the end of the day, the acid question is, does it help you catch more fish? Well, I've been using this rod for a couple of weeks now, and I've got to say it's an absolute joy to use. But the main point is, when I go out with this setup, I feel confident. And when I feel confident, I catch more fish. When fishermen think of fish of the summer, then they normally think about our next guest. No, it's not a man, it's a fish. Yes, he's green, he's round, he's worth £1 million, and he's got a tiny little endearing red eye. I'm talking, of course, about the tench, a fish which, despite its angelic appearance, pulls like a train on steroids. I've hooked a fish here. Absolute surprise. I couldn't see a fish in the swim. I got the bait in the dark area at the back. All of a sudden, the float just dipped, slid away, and I hit it. And I thought it was a tench, and it's not, and I think it's a chub. Or is it? It's the shape of it. It's a long, thin male. That's why it's fighting so hard for its size. Big paddle-like fins. Yeah, it's a tench. Nice tench. Look at that in the clear water. Lovely sight. In you come. This feels like a good fish. It's running hard out for the middle of the lake. Seen some fish over my over a baited area, and I was expecting to take, and for once everything went right and I got one. Here's one of the culprits. It's another tench. An early season tench. A good fish. He's certainly another 6. Long fish, still carrying some spawn. A female. Can tell that by the fact that it's got smaller fins than male tench. And the male tench tends to have a strong, pronounced ridge down here with very large paddle-like ventral fins. So this one's definitely a female, and a fish certainly over 6 pounds. Now, supporting its weight and you can see that fish weighs 6 pounds, 15 ounces. We're heading off down to Oxford now, where we're going to visit a gravel pit which has a resident population of big chub, but I promise you, catching them ain't as straightforward as it might seem.
Well, what do you reckon to our chances today? I don't think they're too bad. I mean, it's a little bit bright. This wind's got a bit of an edge to it. It's quite cold, actually. So you'd be right in thinking that maybe it's not wonderful fishing weather, but the breeze is off our back. I know that there's chub in this bay, and at least we'll be able to get all the bait and the float out there. So it's quite a nice swim. We might as well give it a go and see what happens. Well, that was a bite then. The float just disappeared then. Well, this is a turn up for the books. This feels like a very nice fish as well. I've just got the float set at about 8 foot deep over maybe 13 feet of water. I tried fishing on the bottom, got nothing. Set the float shallow and it just buried within a couple of casts. And it feels like a good fish, this. I'm not even sure this is a chub, it's a big fish. Can't make any headway on it at all. It's hanging deep. It could just be a real hard fighting chub. And that's the thing in these still waters, these fish really do go. They're wonderful. I don't really want to net it near that pipe, because it's the thing with a chub, whether you find it in a lake or in a river, if there's a snag there, it'll find it. Come on, come on. Ooh, you beauty. Ooh, yes, sir. Suits you, so that's a cracker. I think we've got ourselves a proper one there. Look how fat it is. Beautiful. But right in the front of that big old white rubber lip. Now that is not a particularly long chub, but my God, this one, I think, has been eating all the pies. Look at that. Now he's blind in one eye. Can you see that? There's something wrong with his eye. It's probably quite an old fish, poor old thing. Probably why it's swimming around in circles, but it hasn't stopped it feeding. It's really been gobbling the grub down. And I think that one is such a nice fish, we'll weigh it. 5 pounds, 9 and a bit ounces. A real man's fish. Now for all you people who think that fishing is synonymous with keeping pigeons and whippets, stitch that. That's magic. There she goes.
You know, there's nothing like just walking around lure fishing, but to make it really enjoyable, I find it's best to keep the tackle simple. In the old days, I don't know why I used to do it, I'd used to carry a great big box full of every lure I owned. I'd spend more time rummaging through the box than actually fishing. So nowadays, I make life a lot simpler. At home, I've got racks with every lure on display. I know more or less which lure I'm going to use on the session. Very rare I use more than 10, 12 lures. I just take them from the rack, hang them around the sides of an old bin like this, and I'm ready to go. When I get to the water, at a glance I can see which lure I want. They're all separated, there's no chance of tangling, and it's as easy as that. And if you follow that simple tip, it'll make your lure fishing so much more pleasurable.
Well, there's certainly more to fishing than simply catching fish, and we're out to prove that in this series of Total Fishing. To help me do it, investigate the peripheral issues of angling, some of the really important things, I've assembled a fantastic panel of experts. So let's just look at the panel now and then I'll tell you what this bit's all about. On my left, Peter Stone, angling legend and a man who was recently described in the Oxford Mail as having had plastic surgery because of his youthful good looks. Mick Brown, my old mate, ace pike angler and certainly the most untidy angler that I've ever met. And of course, on my right, a man who needs very little introduction, the piking pirate himself, Gord Burton, ladies and gentlemen, a legend in his own lunchtime. And what the boys are going to do, the panel, is they're all going to make me a cup of tea. I'm going to do the sampling just like in one of those wine tasting do's. I'll select the best tea, and whoever wins is going to pass on their tips to you, the viewer, so that next time you go fishing, you can enjoy the best cuppa in the world. So let's get on with it, boys. And I think we'll start off with one from Stoney's Flask. Pour a bit out if you don't mind, Pete. I'll use this mug over here.
Who's going to taste it, I want to know?
I'm going to do the tasting.
Okay.
I think you can probably see from that, folks, that the colour's quite good. There's a few tea leaves slopping around in there, but it doesn't look too weak.
Plenty of sugar.
Plenty of sugar, which I don't taste.
14 teaspoonfuls, but I haven't stirred it.
It looks like the Thames in flood.
And I can tell you, God, it tastes like the Thames in flood.
I am very hurt.
Lake water.
Here's my offering.
Yeah.
Now, anybody who knows anything about tea will tell you that the container that you're drinking from is important.
Right.
Now, this is an unbreakable glass cup that I got free with £5 worth of petrol in 1971.
Fantastic.
And 26 years later, it is still unbroken.
Well, you could have washed the petrol out of it, Brownie, I'll tell you that for a start on. And I've got to say, folks, in fact, this does look like fine d'oeuvre, doesn't it? I mean, look at the wishy-washy colour of that tea. I would say that tastes like Nat's urine strained through a sweaty sock, Brownie. That's toilet water, that is. I'm getting rid of that one. Right, on to Gordon Burt now.
Well, there you are, Matt. A wonderful brew. I hope you enjoy it.
There's all things in here.
There's not things in it. It's a perfect brew. Just taste it. It's a lovely
Rather you than me.
There's amoebas and diatoms and all sorts of things in here.
There's no...
It's like old lake water. If I die after drinking this, don't let Gord Burton present the next series of Total
The
Fishing.
demise of Matt Hayes.
Have you noticed all these flies around this?
Hang on, no, shut up. I'm about... Well, that's about all we've got time for in this episode of Total Fishing. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to tune into the next programme. We've got time for one more segment though, and we're going to go to Florida. Our next guest fish is little more than a giant herring. A herring which, rather than being this long, is around 6 or 7 feet long and weighs 100 pounds or more. This thing's a real bruiser. Steel sprung muscles, jumps like a firecracker, and if you let it, as I did, it'll tow you all over the ocean. Some of that.
There you go. He's got the cork right there. He's getting ready to tangle with him. So.
Not another run, no. I can't believe it.
This fish has got a lot of heart.
Fought each other to a standstill, I think. That's a big old fish, Ken. It's like, actually, we have a fish at home called a barbel.
Right.
And the barbel never knows when to give up. And whenever it knows it's ready to be taken from the water, it always makes one last run.
Right.
And apparently, so does this blooming tarpon.
50 minutes.
This guy who apparently caught 9 in an hour, I think he's having pipe dreams there, man.
Hard pressure now, keep it cranking up. I'll take you back here if we can get a piece of wood. Probably a little bit better than 100 pounds. You got to release that. Let's see what he does. Oh, he's hooked just barely in the tip of the lip. The still camera is underneath. He's about 115, 110.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's over 100. Look where that hook's got him. Don't let him go. Whoa, there he goes.
Ah, well.
Beautiful job. The heck of a job.
Cheers, Ken.
boy.
Well done. Thanks.
Beautiful job on the rod. Lovely.